Hello friends, Ken here. Today we're going to take a look inside the Corsair Air 240 case. Putting all my old computer parts into this case and we're going to make it a brand new computer. So here are the connectors. We got a USB 3, case power, case fan, and our audio plugs. And we got a fan plug just hanging out here. Here's our protective cover for the hard drives. And here are the fancy disconnect sleeves for the hard drives. And the ones for the solid state drives. This will be our bottom dust cover to protect from dust. And here's a look at the bottom of the case, or the side of the case, depending on how you want to set yours up. Here's where we'll route our motherboard power cable, and this is where the power supply goes. Now route your cable and be careful not to crush it with a hard drive tray. Now let's turn her over and install our motherboard, CPU, and RAM assembly, which I will have a detailed video about here. Now plug in your 4-pin power cable, a case fan here, carefully plug in the USB 3 cable here, and the massive 24-pin connector. Next, install the audio input jacks and the case power cables. Now generally with the power connectors, the hole with the arrow on it goes onto the positive post. Now when you install anything in your PCI Express slot, be sure you pull back the tab before you stick anything in there. Bad things will happen if you don't. Now let's install some hard drives. Slide the hard drive trays in here, connect the power cables and the SATA data cable. Here's a closer look at the SATA data cables. And here's what our SATA power cables look like. And if you have multiple connectors on one cable, there should be no issue in using them in a chain.
Hi there.
Now, if you never messed with your computer case before, I should probably tell you that most of the sides interlock into one another, as well as screw into the frame itself. So if you forget to take something off, then you're gonna have to undo everything you just did to get to that one panel to fix whatever it may be that you messed up, as you will see me doing in the next clip. So you could flip the emblem around on the case to orient it a different way if you wanted to put the case on its new side or bottom. And I gotta take out another case fan because my motherboard only supports 2 fans. So make sure you take a look at that before you decide to close your case up. Now, I didn't talk too much about cable management with this case because, well, there really isn't much of an option. You kind of just have a big open bay on one side or your bottom, and that's kind of where everything goes. Now, I also want to mention that as you're tidying up all your cables and zip tying things together, make sure you leave a 6 or 8 pin connector available in case you decide to upgrade your graphics card to one that requires that power, which I ended up doing quite a bit after I recorded this video. Now that we're done with all the shenanigans, we can close up the bottom case again and finish up the rest of the install. This case also came with some sticky rubber pads to give us some ground clearance and breathing room for our power supply. And a rectangle outline is provided at the corners of each case to show you where to stick them. Here we throw the last side panel on, and then we'll take one last look at the top and make sure everything is in order. Now let me drop some nerd knowledge on you about this case here. This case allows for a mini ITX or a micro ATX motherboard. A standard motherboard will not fit. Your CPU cooler clearance is 120mm and your graphics card length clearance is 290mm. So be careful with the components you buy because you may or may not have enough clearance in this case. For example, a GTX 970 from MSI has some cooling tubes on the side of the graphics card. This graphics card did not fit in the case because the cooling tubes ran into the side panel when I tried to close it. But luckily my GTX 1060 from EVGA was able to fit perfectly fine with plenty of space. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this build video. I think the Corsair Air 240 case is an awesome compact case and it looks great on my desk. So thank you for watching guys and enjoy the rest of the footage of the computer.